I'm going to talk about this afternoon the nation and the brand, and the nation as a brand. First of all, I have to ask you, can you hear me? Because I've previously spoken in conferences where I've had 5 or 10 minutes talking to myself, which I never mind doing very much, except that I'd heard what I got to say before. So I really didn't need it. The reason I've called this talk by two names, the nation and the brand and the nation as a brand, is because I think we kind of get them mixed up in our minds a bit. Let's just talk about, first of all, some things that we know and that we see in the world. We see Visa, and if you're German, you kind of think that Visa is German, and if you're French, you think it's French, carte bleue, whatever it might be, and if you're British, you think it's Barclaycard and Visa are the same, and if you're American, you think it's American, and so on. In fact, it's one of the very few brands around that seems to have no national provenance at all. It's a kind of international phenomenon. It does actually originate in San Francisco in an anonymous building quite near the airport. And then there's Orange, which is again a rather peculiar brand because it originated in Hong Kong. Hutchison Telecom comes from Hong Kong. The brand idea and the brand name and the brand positioning was created in Britain. The Hong Kong company then sold it to Mannesmann, who then were taken over by Vodafone, and it became part of Vodafone, who then had to get rid of it, and it went to France Telecom, and it is now an IPO. It's now launched publicly. So again, that's an organization that unusually has no national origin. But most organizations do have a national origin. If you look at BMW, it's quite clear that as a brand, it derives huge strength from being German. The Germanness of BMW is a very important characteristic for people who want to buy it all over the world. If you look at those brand names here, Fujitsu and TDK and NEC and Sony, you think of small, beautifully designed and beautifully made Japanese products with a certain style and a certain panache and a certain strength. Whereas on the other hand, Samsung and Hyundai and the other Korean products seem to us in some way to be kind of down market, slightly imitation versions of the Japanese original. And the chances are, interestingly, that we probably know more about Korean brand names than we do about Korea itself. I have to ask you which of you could name the president of South Korea today in this room. I won't ask you for the answer because I can't think I remember it myself, but you know what I mean. And then we've got these very, very clear ideas about the nation and the brand. Gucci has to be Italian, of course, because of the style associated with it and all that it means. A few people in the Gucci family have been murdered, which also makes it rather an attractive idea. Chanel is, of course, a French idea. So there is this whole issue of what comes from where and what that means. It's a very, very powerful phenomenon in our minds. So naturally, when we think of Scotch whisky, we don't expect it to come from Italy. The idea of Italian whiskey might seem to be somewhat suspect for some of us. Equally, if we're going to have some Italian olive oil, it might taste very nice. On the other hand, Scottish olive oil might perhaps be a less attractive idea. I only make that point to you because there is a quite close association, as it seems to me, in some respects between the nation and the brand. Equally, if you were offered this product, who knows what can happen? After all, federalism is a very, very smart idea. You can all chuck all the wine from different places and mix it together and offer consumer Euro wine. Quite how successful it would be is another matter. This idea of the brand and the nation is, of course, so powerful, it is so significant, it exercises such a vast influence on us that if we need to, some manufacturers who are rather more brilliant than they are scrupulous sometimes create an association with a brand which is non-existent. I was in United States a few years ago talking at a conference in, I can't remember what it was now, Aspen, Colorado, that was right. And my hands got very chapped. My hands got very dry there. So I bought some of this stuff, Neutrogena hand cream. I bought it at a pharmacy, and it's called itself concentrated Norwegian formula. And if you look on the back, you can see there's a long rigmarole, a long sort of paragraph about how it was originally formulated for Norwegian fishermen when they were fishing for cod in the Arctic waters and so on and so forth. It happens that Neutrogena is owned by a company that is based in Los Angeles and has about as much relationship with Norway and the Arctic waters as I have, or you have, which is to say none. Bailey's Irish Cream, a traditional Irish product concocted by some brilliant brand people in London, in Soho, about 25 years ago. Häagen-Dazs, another imitation national product. Häagen-Dazs, invented in New York to appear some kind of Scandinavian, Northern European product to make us all feel that somehow or other this ice cream has got an authenticity because it comes from the place that's so cold that they must like ice cream a lot. Now, what I'm saying is that in addition to there being a reality about the nation and the brand, the power of the idea and the nation and the brand is so strong that there are many brands that are invented to appear to have a national connotation or to appear to have a national resonance even though they don't. Well, in my company we found all this idea about the nation and the brand very interesting, and we did a series of studies on what it means when you say made in Germany, made in Britain, made in Italy and so on. And the first study we did was about made in Germany. This is the German flag, for those of you who may not recognize it. I thought I ought to let you know what it was. Made in Germany was a study that we carried out in conjunction with the Financial Times, and we asked lots of people in lots of countries. I won't bore you with the research details, they're very tiresome, but I can assure you it was carried out quite effectively. What industries they associated with Germany. These are leading businessmen all over the world, of whom 50% said automotive, 30% said engineering, 10% electronics, 5% or so said chemical and pharmaceutical, only 3% said consumer goods, and 2% financial services. We said, what images do you associate with Germany? Well, the images that people associate with Germany are, as you can see, technical prowess 100%, quality, reliability, engineering, progressive and so on, fine, emotional, naught. 0% associate emotional products with Germany. Very interesting. Particularly, what does made in Germany mean to you? Skilled workforce, 95%, environmentally friendly, lots of people, durable technology, world-class management, state-of-the-art technology, aggressive pricing, only 50%. So German products are very, very finely manufactured motor cars which are extremely expensive and highly priced. That must be of great comfort to Hugo Boss. I dare say that Jill Sander is also delighted that there is no emotional quality attached to German products. And as for Deutsche Bank, 2% of the respondents thought that Germany was associated Germany with financial services. That must be lovely thought too. Well, there you are. Now, the point I'm making here is that there are a whole series of ideas, cliches, old-fashioned, out-of-date ideas, which relate to a completely distorted feeling about what any company produces and what any company consists of, which means that if an organization, whether it's a company or a nation, wants somehow or other to actually project an idea of what it really and truly is and what it really and truly does to the world at large, then it must understand that it's got to be more coherent and more focused than simply leaving it to chance to help. You could do exactly the same study about Germany for almost any other country, large country in the world. You would get a distorted and absurd answer. We did it for Italy, we did it for Britain, we did it for France. We also did a study, and this is a very interesting thing, I think, about America. And the United States is unusual in the sense that it is the one country in the world that more or less everyone has a view on and has heard of. That is not true of most countries in the world. Smaller countries in the world are relatively unknown except by their neighbours. Largish countries like Germany or Britain or France are well known, but the